Well, we've missed last week. That was bad. Sorry about everybody who
I
was
know.
eagerly waiting for our episode. Um, dude, what's up with everybody? Everybody's all these quarterback fingers. See all this stuff going on? Burrow's fingers looks like he got smashed by a car. Taysom Hill's playing with a
Oh,
splint. Russell Wilson had surgery a couple weeks ago. Fingers, man. Who'd have thought? Protect
so,
your fingers.
so that's right. Fingers are very important. I'm just glad that they're not baseball players because if any of them were baseball players, they'd be out for, you know, 6 months to a year. Any type
Hmm.
of a finger issue.
What
So,
what's an injury that a baseball player, like a football player, reverse that? So what's an injury that a baseball player could have but play through that a football player could not play through?
hmm, that's tough.
This this is actually something that this is a very slippery slope into falling into what's the toughest sport conversation, which is not necessarily what I wanted
Uh,
to do.
no, no, no. Yeah, I agree. I mean, part of the the problem is really for baseball, almost any injury that impacts a part of your body that you use to perform is detrimental, regardless of the severity of the injury, because the mechanics of baseball are so fine that a pitcher, and it happens. Literally, pitchers miss starts because they get a paper cut on their index finger, and they can't grip the ball the same way that they normally would otherwise could. So they can't get the right spin. They're completely ineffective. You know what I mean? So it's not even the matter of their physical toughness or their ability to play through pain. It's about how they can actually execute the things that they need to do with their, physical limitations with their injury. You
Is
know what I mean?
that just the pitching position though?
Pitching is, I mean, an outfielder can, bang up your hand, get a bruised hand, and as long as you can get the ball back in, the fineness of whether the infielder needs to catch from here or here based on how you throw the ball from the outfield is not as significant as a pitcher where the strike zone is a box. You know what I mean?
Are kickers the pitchers of football?
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
yeah. You know what? I like that. I like that a lot
Yeah.
because you could really win or lose a game based on the kicker. And the kicker is, I mean, the what makes a successful kicker, a Hall of Fame kicker, for example, is consistency across a long period of time, and that's exactly what makes a good pitcher is being able to consistently throw a pitch where you need it to go for a long period of time in the context of one game, the context of a full season, and the context of 10 years. So I like that.
If we're not actually recording right now, I'm going to be very upset
Me
because this
too,
is
because
good. This
this
is a good thing. Hey man,
yeah,
you can almost think of him as like a closer, a
kickers,
closing
yeah,
pitcher.
kickers,
Yeah.
yeah, they close the drive out,
You only need
puts the
three
points on the
pitches.
board.
You only need one kick. But hey, you have to have it when you need it.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
All
Yep,
right, all right, great, cool. Yeah, that's settled. Put a but
settled.
put a pin in it. Put a button in it.
Put a bow on it.
Even better. um, what else is going on? Urban Meyer's back in the news. He's messing with his
What's he
running
in the
back.
news for?
James Robinson. Maybe it's only because James Robinson's on my fantasy team, but James Robinson starts the game. He was questionable all week. Starts the game, plays like two snaps and fumbles, and then they bench him for like the rest of the game until the fourth quarter when he comes back in and plays like three snaps. So Robinson thought that he was benched because of the fumble. But Urban Meyer, after the game, said it was because of his injury. But then Urban didn't have a reason for putting him back in the fourth quarter if it was injury related. And now like there's like a blame game going on. Urban Meyer is going to be fired at the end of this year. There's almost I cannot possibly see a way that he sticks around unless there's something in his contract that they just cannot. They just can't. Or if the crazy cons down there just assume that any publicity is good publicity. You know what I mean? Like a little bit of like WWE wrestling vibe in there. That like, hey, every story needs a heel, so we have our heel. You know? I mean, it's not very good for
I
winning
get that.
winning football games, but it might be good for. I don't even know who it's good for.
I could see just based on pride alone, Urban Meyer sticking it out for another season. I think that he's got a based on all the reports, he's got a good enough relationship with the Khan family where they'll suffer through losing seasons they have if they think that they're on the right trajectory with their young talent and yada yada yada. That being said, I would not be shocked if when the season's over, if both parties agree to mutually part ways, I can totally see that happening too. Not a firing. It wouldn't be like that. It would be both parties mutually agree to part ways, and we wish Urban Meyer the best of luck in his future endeavors. Like I totally could see that. He is best suited now for the broadcast booth. I think that is plain as day.
But he's suited for nothing anymore. I mean, well, I don't know. It's like he had all that controversy and still is getting jobs. Still got this job, so I guess maybe it's fine. I don't know. But you know what? I'm actually surprised up, and I wish I had. I wish I had done a little bit of research before saying this. But I'm surprised because it seems as though this season in the NFL anyway, there's been no coach firings yet. There are some bad teams in the NFL, but maybe it's just because all of the bad teams are in a spot where they've just started a rebuild. But normally by now, I mean, week 14, you'd have at least one interim head coach somewhere. And the Raiders don't count. Like that definitely doesn't count. Like performance
I mean,
related, we're starting a rebuild. We want to get a head coaching search. We want to be the first people to start our head coaching search openly. That kind of thing. It feels like every season that's already happened by now, at least for one team.
I agree with you that generally by now at least there's a talk of them not making it through the end of the season. And thinking this through, can you name really right now any coaches that you would even say are like legitimately on the hot seat? I mean, there are some that like Dan Campbell maybe is just a one and done type of situation in Detroit. I would say I don't even know the guy's name down in Houston. He might even be the interim head coach at the moment.
Cully.
Like there might be some of those, but like
He's not the interim head coach. He's the head coach.
he's the head coach. Okay. Well, I mean, but seriously though, name a head coach that you would say is definitely on the hot seat right now.
Pete Carroll.
Pete Carroll's not on the hot seat. He is potentially gonna. Okay. Let me put it. All right. Let me put it
Yeah,
this way.
rephrase, please, because he absolutely is in the
Okay.
news about
He
not being there after the season.
he would be another scenario where it would be both parties mutually agree to part ways, or he would be like told to retire. He won't be
Okay,
fired from his
okay, okay,
job.
okay, okay, okay. Fine. It's what we're best at, a semantic argument. I was going based off of who is probably going to be asked to or nudged to no longer be the head coach. Pete Carroll absolutely falls into that camp. I mean, hot seat. Does that mean like the team's been doing so poorly that they might get fired because the team sucks? Well, actually, the Seahawks kind of fall into that category anyway. But if you mean like there's a lot of buzz about how bad they've been, or how upset front office is with the head coach or something like that. Okay, I can't really think of one, but I don't think Pete Carroll will be the head coach of Seattle after the season at all. I mean, Russell Wilson. There's reports now that he's open to trades with certain teams. He's named his teams. You know what I'm saying?
That
So
happened
like,
last year. That happened last season though. But I get your point. I get your point. I'll just say though that generally, and I think, and I'm about to potentially
Joe
uncover a reason
Judge,
why.
Joe Judge is on the hot seat for the Giants. Joe Judge is absolutely on the hot seat.
Didn't he just get this job though? Just
Doesn't
this last
matter.
season?
You just mentioned Dan Campbell. I mean, Joe Judge, that team, they've got Daniel Jones. I think Gettleman and Joe Judge are both on the hot seat. I mean, dude, it's New York. New York they don't mess around. They've been looking for a head coach for a while. Joe Judge.
New York is just beginning the rebuild.
I think
The
Salah is
Giants.
safe, obviously, because this is only his first season. Second season? Irrelevant. It's the Jets.
Yeah, I I will say though that I
Oh,
think a lot of teams.
no, Matt Rule can't be on the hot seat. There's no way.
Matt Rule's not on the hot
He,
seat.
okay,
He's
get
Matt
how
Rule has
weird
not
this
even.
is. Sorry, yeah, I agree. But get how weird it is that he fired Joe Brady, their offensive coordinator. Joe Brady was like, he was a hot name in the off. I mean, does that name sound familiar to you? Because it should.
It
I
does.
think he was with the Cowboys or something. He was gonna. He's good. Last season, he was on people's short list for head coaching jobs, but now he's fired all of a sudden. That sounds like a buck was passed. Someone
I wonder
passed the
why.
proverbial buck.
Well,
What are you
anyways,
reading the internet for?
well, I was just looking to see what how long he was. Anyways,
My eyes are here, buddy.
I know. I think that a lot of teams, a lot of coaches that might have been potentially on the hot seat going into the season aren't as much now because a lot of teams are still in it right now. A lot of teams are having like good seasons for what there are. I mean, I don't know about you, but I feel like the standings today in what are we, week 14, week 15, week week 14. There are more teams that are still in the hunt and have a decent shot at making the playoffs than I can remember. You know what I mean? Like there's a few teams that are out of it, but like
It was
in the
last year too,
AFC,
Scotty. I mean, there was last year too. You had teams with losing records vying for the playoffs up
no,
until
I
week
know, but
16.
but I mean, think about like this year with like making picks and stuff. Like teams like the Raiders and the Broncos like are decent teams. Like they're at the bottom of their division right now, but they're 6-6. They're the same record as the Browns. Like there's so much parity in the records this year than I could ever remember. You know what I mean? Like
Well,
there's a small number of really bad teams. I mean, look, I'm looking at the standings right now. In the AFC, there are only 4 teams that have a losing record. 4. That's it. The Jaguars, the Texans, the Jets, and the Dolphins. Everyone else is at 500
I think we could all say
at
that
least.
those four teams are all bad teams.
They are,
I
but
think if you don't have
that's
it, I
four
mean,
out of 16 teams.
I
That's
understand.
4 out of 16. That is a lot of teams that are not only just
I
like
understand what you're
all
saying.
right.
I understand what you're saying, but if you think about what the NFL's tried to do, I mean, look at the way they schedule, the way they set up the draft, the way they do all kinds of things. It's designed so that there are a lot of average teams. I mean, if you think about the other side, Scotty, how many teams are amazing that we know are really good? There's like 3 in the AFC, 4 in the NFC. So it's like
Who are those? Who are, who are those
we're
teams in
doing
the
this. We're
AFC?
doing power
Yeah,
rankings.
let's
We
do abbreviated power rankings right now. Give
abbreviated
me your
power
top
rank.
4 teams. Give me your top
Uh,
4 teams in the AFC. The AFC first. Let's start
in
there.
no order. I'm not ranking
In
them.
no order. Just your top 4 teams.
My top 4 teams: Chiefs, Chargers, Patriots, Bills. I'm going Chiefs, Chargers, Patriots, Bills. I'm leaving out the Ravens. They're a 4B. Um, only because they're
Leaving
leading
out
the division, but I don't even think the Ravens are that good. That's what I'd say for the AFC.
the Bengals are winning the division, by the way, just FYI.
That's
But
irrelevant. I don't consider
I
them to be the best of the league, best in the conference.
the only thing that I would change with your analysis there is I would swap the Chargers with the Titans
Why? Why the Titan? I mean,
because
why?
I think the Titans are a little bit better than the Chargers. I mean, the Chargers are 7-5. They're not. I mean, it's not like they're. I mean, it's good, but they're not that much better than.
Titans have a better
They're
defense
deep.
and a healthier offense. I mean, what do you want me to say? I mean, that's fine.
The
I
Titans.
get you saying the Titans' record is a little bit strange because they because it's so good. I mean, I think they're a good team. I like the Titans. I mean, they're going to win the division, obviously. I don't think the Colts are that bad either, but the Colts definitely fall into that like Ravens, Browns, Raiders, maybe zone.
Here's another.
Bengals for sure.
Here's another just general stat because again, parity is a big thing.
I love a general stat,
And
a
here's a general stat
non-specific stat.
it just doesn't, it doesn't mean a ton, but it means something, okay? And this is just point differential, okay? Point
But do we
differential.
know what it
All,
means?
huh?
If it doesn't mean a lot, but it means something, how much? I mean, does it not matter? Are
It
you
means
saying
no.
it's
It matters in that, it means you have generally a good offense and a good defense, generally, of a good point differential, right? So it's all your points scored versus all your points that you've given up. The top four teams right now in the AFC are the Patriots with a plus 150,
this is based on point
okay?
differential alone?
Point differential, okay? So all the points that the Patriots have ever scored
All
this season
right,
versus
all
all
right.
they've given up. All right, so New England is plus 150. Buffalo is a plus 140. The Colts are third with plus 88, and the Bengals are fourth with plus 64.
So a couple things. The Patriots and the Colts number there is skewed because each of those teams had one game where it was just a crazy blowout. Like the Colts and Jets was like a 30 something point differential, which is half of their differential now. And the Patriots beat the Browns by like 40 points. So that's something it's like I get what you're saying. You prefaced this with it doesn't mean a lot, but it means something. I just wish that
It means something.
we knew what it actually meant.
It means that generally you got a good offense and a good defense. Generally, potentially even better than other teams.
I don't think anyone's. I don't
All
think.
right.
I don't listen. I don't think anyone would tell you, "Hey, okay, if you ask me AFC alone, give me your top four offenses in the AFC." But the Patriots aren't sniffing the top four. You know what I'm saying? It's like that.
You say that, but they've scored. I agree because I would say that too. However, they have scored the second most points out of anyone in the AFC. They've scored 350 points this season. The only team that scored more was the Colts at 371. Everyone else has scored less points than that.
This is so boring. Nobody cares about the numbers. People care about the records and the quarterbacks. That's all. That's the only
They
one he
just care
cares
about
about.
okay, but okay. So you don't, Mac Jones. You're not big on Mac Jones,
Mac
so they have a
attack
bad
next year.
offense
Next year, buddy.
next year. All right, let's move to the NFC. Give me your top four teams in the NFC.
Okay.
This one's much easier.
Let me think about this. It's not that easy when you get to the NFC West. But okay. Okay. I would say the Cowboys. I would say the Buccaneers. The See, the Rams are so freaking tricky. The Cardinals. So the Cowboys, Bucks, Cardinals, and I guess maybe the Packers. Probably the Packers. And
I'd
and
agree with that.
I want Minnesota just lost to Detroit. I can't. They're not in that tier. You're right. That is easier, but it's obviously it's also like I mean yeah, it's easier. That's it. It's easier. There you go.
This is just. I mean, it's kind of dawned on me looking at this. The AFC has just owned the NFC this year when in head-to-head matchups because I'll tell you that like okay, so we talked about how there's only 3 or 4 teams with a losing record in the AFC. There are only one, two, three, four, five teams with a winning record in the NFC. That's it, 5 teams. Everyone else is either 500 or below. That's insane.
Mm, mm.
I mean, you look at teams like, look at the NFC North, the Vikings, like you just said, they're 5-7. They lost to the Lions. Chicago's 4-8. They're going nowhere. You got in the South, you got the Panthers, the Falcons, the Saints. I mean, they're not doing anything this year. They're just ho hum teams. And the NFC is bad this year. It's the AFC's year. It's kind of
Mm.
cool.
Transition.
Transition.
Do you feel that a diplomatic boycott of the Beijing Olympics is actually meaningful?
No.
Should the U.S. team go and compete? Like not like I'm not. We don't. This is a spicy topic. We don't usually get into stuff like this, but I'm actually
It's
just curious because in today's world when people are like doing a lot of stuff for PR, and whether the leadership at like an organization or whatever really believes in what they're saying, it's hard to how hard to know for sure. It's hard to not think of this as just like we don't want pictures of our people with their people, but we're still going to go. It's like it's still going to generate the same money that it's going to generate. We're still going to cover it on NBC. You know, it's like a we just don't want the photo op.
Yeah, I think it's it just seems like it's kind of like a save face or shallow move, I guess. It's just like a okay, okay, so what? So Kamala Harris isn't gonna go sit next to some Chinese officials. Like, okay, great. They're still everyone's going competing. If you want a real protest, we're not competing. The most athletes, the athletes with the greatest chance of success won't show up. And then that would be a huge statement. But to me, like okay, and we're getting real into politics, which I don't particularly care to.
We don't have
I'm
to. We
done
don't have to
too
do
much.
this.
I know, but I'm just saying, if you're gonna boycott and protest a country because of whatever reasons, I feel like there's more things that you could be doing instead of just saying, "Oh, our diplomats are going to go sit in the stands during the Olympics." So it just seems like, I don't know.
One thing that I would ask, and again, I don't have any hard opinions on any of this stuff, but well, I do, but not that I need to share here. One thing I would ask is when it comes to like putting a diplomatic boycott on it, people will then also say it would be unfair for the athletes who've been training their whole lives to not be able to go compete at the sport they love. Um, but I guess I would ask if this is that important that we're making a conscious decision to to show non-support, the opposite of whatever support is for whatever is going on in China. Shouldn't the athletes also care about that? And I'm not saying that we should. I'm not saying that Kevin, think that we shouldn't go compete. But if it's that big a deal, and it absolutely is, well, okay, here we go. But the athletes should also care. I'm not saying they don't care, but they should also. Shouldn't we also expect the athletes to at least be like, yeah, I mean, it's genocide. You know what I mean?
I would say not necessarily,
Not, I
honestly,
agree. I
because
don't. Yeah, yeah. I don't disagree with
because
that.
athletes don't need to be activists. You know what I mean? In
That's
fact,
true.
most people that are athletes and activists are generally disliked by a lot of people that are maybe on the other side of the thing that they're being an activist for. So I would never fault an athlete for not taking a definitive stance on something that is unrelated to their sport. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because that's not they're there to exert their skills. You know what I mean? So
Hmm. Well said.
I will say though, just in general, if things are as serious as what's being claimed, or all like I don't know, I think stronger action maybe could or should be done here. You know what I mean?
Maybe
Like,
maybe if it's as serious as everything is claimed to be, then we probably just shouldn't be having them. Period. Not like, oh,
yeah,
our athletes might not be going. It should just not be happening, and there should be
right.
actual consequences for things. But I don't know. It's like sphere of influence, and what are we doing here? A podcast that
Mhm.
three, well, I don't know. Maybe we've got a huge following, and I just don't really realize it. Wouldn't that be cool if people that were really
That would be
famous didn't
cool.
realize they were really famous?
Yeah,
I wonder how people would
that would be
act.
pretty cool. I wonder.
We know how people that aren't famous but think they're famous act. We know that all
That's
the
true.
time. It's all over, But transition,
Transition.
Power Five. Let's just get into it, man. All right, I
All right,
actually
let's
I
do it.
actually have them written down this time.
All right.
As always, they are some tough games, and I don't think I've actually picked these. So I'm going to let you go ahead and start the first one. And we're going to start with Baltimore at Cleveland. Cleveland's favored -2.5.
Yeah, I I agree with the original statement I think said by you that Baltimore isn't they're not as good of a team as their record reflects. However, neither are the Browns, and so I think that
Wait, the Browns aren't.
Baltimore.
You don't hold on. So I know I told you I'd give you the floor. I heard that. I'm like, oh, I'm not going to listen. I'm going to let him do his thing. But then you don't think the Browns are a 6-6 team? You don't think they're as good as
No,
6-6?
they're gonna finish the season with a losing record.
You're an antagonist. You love it. You embrace it.
There's no
You're
there's no
absolutely an
antagonist.
antagonist. You absolutely are.
I'm looking at my eyes. I'm just observing. I'm observing
Okay.
the.
Anyway, I won't interrupt again.
I'll just say just real quick. I will say if the Browns don't want to have a losing record, they really need to win this week because if they lose to the Ravens, they have the Raiders, which is a tough team. They're playing at Green Bay. They're playing at Pittsburgh, who's already beat them, and then they got the Bengals at home, and the Bengals are going to crush them in a revenge game from this season. So, anyways, Ravens are going to win this game. I think that the Browns don't have an answer for Lamar Jackson. I think that they're going to win. That's it. Not much else to say.
Browns win by a field goal. I'm taking the Brownies. You're absolutely wrong. Don't have an answer for Lamar Jackson. The game, it was like a one-score game. I mean, and Baker's playing injured. Hunt just came back. They have no wide receivers. The defense played really well, and they're coming off a bye week. They're fresh. You're wrong about that.
They need to win this game.
Well, no, yeah, I mean they need to win. Yes, they do need to win, but I also think they're going to.
Everything is laid out for them to give them the best opportunity they possibly have to win this game. They have all the advantages. They're at home. They've seen the Ravens. Ravens played last week. Browns didn't. They get they have every chance to win this game. But I don't think they're gonna.
The only team that I know the Browns will probably lose unless there's some crazy weather involved is Christmas Day, the Packers. Very bad present for me. But they could win any of the rest of their games. So
They could. They have a chance.
It just blows my mind that the Browns beat the Bengals by like a 30-point margin. And you think the Browns are worse or don't deserve the 6-6 that they've got? That's what you just said.
That was a fluke game. It won't happen again. Joey B, his fingers are gonna be healed up by January 9th, and he's gonna throw for 400 yards.
We're gonna be at that game, and that won't happen. He hasn't thrown for 400 yards yet this season. We're gonna get out of here. All right, Buffalo at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is favored by 3.5. So Tampa -3.5. I'll start this one. This is going to be a good game. Buffalo, forget everything you saw on Monday. That was against the Patriots. That was you don't see weather like that very often, and you definitely don't see it in Florida. I think Josh Allen's going to come back and have a pretty good game because you can throw on Tampa, but I think Tom Brady's gonna win this one. I'm going to take the Bucs. To cover?
To cover.
To cover, yeah. I know what I'm doing. What do you think?
Mm-hmm. I agree that the Monday night game was a little bit of an anomaly because of the weather. I think played in better conditions, the Bills probably could have beaten the Patriots. I think the home game, Tom Brady, the Bucs defense is really good. I think they can contain Allen a little bit. I don't see the Bills winning this one.
San Francisco at Cincinnati. San Francisco's favored -1.5, so tight margin there. I'm going with the Niners, man. I mean, it's a field goal. I mean, the Niners are coming off an embarrassing loss to the Seahawks. They're gonna be pissed. You got Burrow back there. His offensive line's banged up. His hand's banged up. The only good thing about the Bengals have going for them right now is Mixon. And I think Jimmy G lights him up.
There's no chance. There's zero chance that the Bengals lose this game
It's definitely a chance.
after losing the way that they lost against San Diego or not San Diego against the Chargers last week. When they absolutely could have won that game, they just made a few mistakes and the game got out of hand early because
They
of
played
just
bad defense. That's what you mean by they made a few mistakes. They played bad defense.
Some of that was just untimely and costly turnovers that don't always happen. That Jamar Chase catch where he caught the ball.
They happen.
And then,
he didn't catch the ball.
I know it happened. That the ball hit his hands. He could have caught the ball easily. It bounced into the. That was a fluke play. That was a 14-point difference. Okay, early on.
How do you figure it's 14 points? It's one possession.
That was a touchdown catch right there. He had so much separation. If he had gotten hands on that ball, he would have run it into the end zone and scored. They would have scored that drive. The Chargers took the ball down and scored on that drive. So that's a 14-point differential right there. And then, but forget that. The Bengals showed immense heart to come back and make that. They almost took the lead in the third quarter, and then
I'm not putting
mistakes happen.
I'm not putting the Bungles on this list anymore. I can't take you. Every single time we talk. Listen to you. Fluke play. It wasn't even a missed catch. It wasn't even an interception in the end zone, which they might have had later on in that game. That wasn't even the play. He would have had to still run for the end zone. 14-point swing. We're transitioning. Are you taking the Bengals? Oh, you said there's zero chance. Of course, there's zero chance.
There's zero chance. Yeah.
New Orleans at the Jets. New Orleans is -5. I'm going to start again. I know I started the last couple. I am taking the Jets, and I'll tell you why. Taysom Hill is going to have to rely on his leg. And listen, he rushed for 100 yards last Thursday. And I know they've had a little bit. They're going to have a little longer to prepare for this game, but I know it's the Jets. But I can totally see the Jets keeping it close and losing by a field goal, 4 points. I can just totally see it. They're at home. I just don't have faith in Taysom Hill to win a game. He threw 4 picks last week after he got injured. I mean, they're going to tape him up. He's going to play, and they're going to be very, very run heavy. Kamara's back healthy, but I like the Saints to win. But I think the Jets will cover.
I generally agree with what you have to say. I do. I think the Jets they could potentially, get within 5, and maybe even win the game. You never know, because the Jets at home have been somehow somewhat sneaky. You know what I mean? The crowd gets into it for some reason, and it could happen. I still am going to go with the Saints though on this, because I think that if Kamara comes back, it's going to be an added element they didn't have last week, and they're going to have a better run game, help Taysom out a little bit, and I think they'll win the game, cover the spread.
All right, last game, Dallas at Washington. Dallas is favored -4.5. I think that as much as I want the football team to win and take this division, because they can't take the division. Well, I guess there's still time to take the division, but let's be real.
You're in it. Yeah.
I like the Heineke story. I really like Riverboat Ron. I like Gibson. I like the defense. I wish Chase Young was still playing. But I think the Cowboys just come out and whomp them.
I think they're going to wail on them too. Dallas all the way. Dallas they're a pretty good team this year, and I think that they win this one pretty easily. They definitely cover the spread.
Transition.
Bucket
time. Hit me. I wish that we had the sound effect for the shaking of the bucket. It's not even a sound effect. I just wish that the audio. I wish our technology wasn't so good.
Gotta give it to Apple, man. Their technology is too good.
All right, reach your grubby little paw in there and pull some out.
All right, as a reminder, bye weeks this week. Okay, so Colts, Dolphins, Patriots, Eagles. Okay,
that's a lot.
They're on bye. That is a lot. Okay, who am I drawing for, Nick?
Always start with Nick. Oh, here he goes. The
The
Bungles.
Bengals.
I mean, if there's zero chance, Scotty, if there's zero chance, are you having Nick keep this?
I would have Nick keep this.
Well, that's the
What do you
question.
think? I would, yes. But what about you? What do you think?
I think there are worse helmets in there, but there are definitely better helmets in there. I don't know. I mean, I'll let you make the call, and you can answer to Clyde.
Nick's gonna thank me next week, and he's keeping the Bengals.
Cincy. All right. Sorry, Nick. All right, Andrew's up next.
Andrew.
That's right. That's right. Give it a good shake. Yeah. Yes, like your Halloween. The Falcons. Oh gosh, they're playing Carolina.
Carolina.
I wouldn't do that. That's
Throw that back.
I mean, not because Carolina's good, just because it's the Falcons. No
Start going
Donka.
back.
Okay, it's back in. Are you sure that was the Falcons and not? I guess it's too late now.
I did.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
I would check the top.
The Dirty Birds. All right, Andrews is stuck with this one. We got to start cashing in on some of these. I'm getting irritated about it. The Hawks, the Seahawks. Seahawks play.
They play the Texans. All right, that's not too bad.
Good draw. Good draw. Oh, on the road. to the 40 Houston fans that will show. All right, Scotty, you're up next. You definitely want a bye week. All right.
Oh.
The Detroit Lions. I mean, are you even going to look at who the Broncos? No, hey, that might be a sneaky good game.
It might be a sneaky good game, but it's not anything I'm going to bet a punishment on.
All right.
It went back.
It's an inconvenience. Thank you. All right, you're locked in with this one, buddy. Make it good.
The
Jags. Oh my gosh. The Jacksonville Jaguars play the Titans. That is not a good matchup. The Titans coming off a bye week too. The Urban Meyer led Jaguars. All right, Scott.
I mean,
give me
that's better than the Lions probably, but it's still not good. All right, Kev.
I'd actually rather have the Lions this week than the Jags. It doesn't matter. Give me the Colts, Scott. Give me the Colts. I want the Colts. Oh, the Cardinals. Who are they playing? Oh, the Cardinals are playing
They're playing the Rams on Monday Night Football.
Ooh.
That's tough. They're playing in Carolina.
Ooh,
that's
strange.
Oh. Yeah, in Phoenix.
I'm putting it back. Oh,
putting it back.
Kingsbury, can't do it, buddy. Team? Can't do it. Can't do it.
All right, officially going back.
Officially back in the hole. Give it to me again.
You can get the Lions now.
I'd take the Lions over the Cardinals. That's going to be a good game, Scotty. That's a good game.
It's going to be a good game, but all right.
Yeah, hey, it's done. It's done. These are hard decisions you have to make. Oh, the Pack Attack playing Chicago. I'm taking it.
Chicago.
Oh yeah.
Sunday Night Football. Yeah, that's a good one.
That's Sunday Night Football? Oh, that'd be a good game.
Sunday Night Football.
Well, I don't know if it'll be a good game.
In Green Bay, in Lambeau.
Andy Dalton throws the perfect spiral.
The estimated weather right now is 35 degrees there in Lambeau Field, so it's definitely turtleneck weather for Aaron Rodgers. And he doesn't lose those games.
All right. Scotty, give me your top 3 painters of all time.
Painters?
Do you not like my top 3 category here? I mean, what the hell are we doing?
Trying to name 3 painters.
If you can't name 3 painters, you need to go back to school.
All right. Art history's lame, okay?
El Greco. That doesn't count. You can't use that one.
Don't talk to me about it. All right, I'm gonna go with Michelangelo.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci.
Oh my gosh! No! I see what you're doing here.
It's my top 3: Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, and Bob Ross.
Huh?
And Bob Ross.
Props on not just going down the list. All right, let's close this bitch out. Today, Junior.
I know. Okay. Top three, top three warm drinks.
A
Drinks served hot.
fantastic question. I'm so happy about this. Coffee, hot toddy, and chicken noodle soup.
All right.
That's the show. See you next
Good
week,
show.
maybe, if we're not lazy. All right, so if you've listened this far, you must, for some reason, like what you've heard. So, given that, please remember to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at ObsessionCast for all future episode updates and whatever else we might post, sports related or otherwise. Thanks for watching.